They fined me $100,000 for construction I never did. But when I checked the satellite map, the truth hit harder than the fine. They built 11 illegal houses on MY land and blamed me for it. So before we begin, drop your city or country in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. And if you stand for truth over power, hit the like button and subscribe. My father used to tell me, land doesn't talk, but it remembers everything. At the time, I didn't understand what he meant. Land was just dirt, trees, and silence to me. But standing here today, after everything the HOA did to me, his words feel heavier than ever. For years, my 14-acre property sat untouched at the edge of our quiet community. I inherited it from my father after he passed away 8 years ago. I never leased it, never built on it, never planned to sell it. It was the last physical memory I had of him, untouched, peaceful, purely mine. But peace doesn't last long when a greedy HOA smells opportunity. It began with a letter. A plain white envelope delivered to my mailbox on a Wednesday morning, stamped in bold red. Final notice, HOA fine, $100,000. I remember turning the paper over, expecting maybe a mistake, a wrong address, a wrong name. But no. My name. My parcel number. My land. The fine? According to them, I had built 11 small residential units without HOA permission. 11. Not 1. Not 3. Not even 5. 11 fully built structures. My first reaction was confusion. My second reaction was anger. And my third was dread, because I knew HOAs don't make mistakes this big. I drove straight to the HOA office that afternoon. Inside, the air smelled like perfume and printer ink. Behind the counter sat HOA President Deborah Linwood, a woman everyone in the community feared but pretended to respect. Her glasses sparkled with diamonds, her smile sharper than the edges of her clipboard. "Ah, Mr. Carson," she said without even looking up. "We were wondering when you'd show up." "I received a notice claiming I built something on my land," I said. 11 houses? That's ridiculous. I haven't touched my property in years." She raised an eyebrow, slowly removing her glasses. "Well, Mr. Carson, whether you touched it or not isn't our concern. Unauthorized construction exists. The satellite images prove it. Therefore, the fine stands." She pushed a folder across the desk. Inside were images, blurry, low resolution, but showing what looked like rooftops. "Those aren't mine," I said. "None of this is mine." She shrugged. "Your land. Your responsibility." And she turned away like the conversation was over. But it wasn't over. Not for me. I walked out of the HOA office with a fiery determination burning in my chest. If there really were constructions on my land, I would see them with my own eyes. That evening, just before sunset, I parked my truck at the edge of my property and began walking inward. The trees were denser than I remembered. The air felt strangely disturbed, like the land had been touched without permission. 20 minutes into the walk, I froze. There, stretched across the clearing, were houses. Not sheds. Not temporary structures. Not old abandoned cabins. 11 fully constructed modern houses. Each one identical, cream walls, tiled roofs, solar panels installed neatly on top. Driveways freshly paved. Landscaping done with precision. And electricity already running. My heart pounded. My father's quiet land, our untouched legacy, had been carved up into a miniature neighborhood. I wasn't confused anymore. I was furious. Someone built these houses quietly. And not just someone, the HOA. Because only the HOA had access, funding, contractors, and the nerve to pull off something this bold. The deeper I looked, the worse it got. Construction equipment tracks were fresh. Empty cement bags carried labels from the HOA's partnered builder. Stacks of HOA security tape sat behind one of the houses. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. The next morning, I began gathering evidence. First, I used a drone to record aerial footage. From above, the 11 houses looked like a small secret subdivision, roads, fencing, and even water lines already connected. Then I mapped the GPS coordinates, proving the structures were deep inside my property, not on any border. But the most important evidence of all came from the last person I expected. A whispered phone call from inside the HOA. "Mr. Carson, I know what they did to your land," the voice said. It was one of the board members, a quiet, nervous man named Richard. "I shouldn't be saying this, but Deborah, she planned this." He explained everything. The HOA wanted to expand the community but didn't have land. Buying land was expensive. So they decided to pressure landowners into giving up property by creating fines they couldn't pay. My land was first on their list. 11 houses were built by an HOA-contracted construction company. The plan was to hit me with the massive fine, then offer a settlement, transfer the land to them in exchange for removing the debt. It was fraud. Pure, calculated fraud. And now that I had the full picture, I knew exactly what to do. First, I filed an official complaint with the County Land Development Office. Then another with the State Housing Authority. Then another with the District Attorney. And I didn't stop there. I set all my evidence, drone footage, photos, GPS data, contractor receipts found on site, everywhere. Every office. Every agency. Every reporter who covered HOA abuse stories. For 1 week, silence. Deborah must have thought I'd given up. But on Monday morning, everything changed. I woke up to the sound of engines, dozens of vehicles rolling into the HOA office parking lot. County inspectors. State agents. Federal housing officers. Sheriff deputies. And a private legal team representing land fraud victims. They marched into the HOA building like a storm. I arrived 15 minutes later and watched as Deborah's confident posture crumbled. Her voice, usually sharp, shook with fear. This is a misunderstanding. We were helping the community," she claimed. "But they had my evidence in hand. The construction records. The bank transfers. The emails Richard provided. The maps. The drone footage." Deborah was placed in handcuffs right there in front of her own staff. Fraud. Illegal construction. Property misappropriation. Forgery. Misuse of HOA funds. She was hit with every charge in the book. The rest of the HOA board? Forced to resign, investigated, and banned from ever serving in housing management again. 2 months later, a final court ruling came. Not only was I cleared of all fines. The 11 houses, all of them, legally belonged to me. The judge said, "These structures sit entirely on Mr. Carson's land. Therefore, ownership transfers to the landowner." I didn't lose $100,000. I gained 11 houses. The HOA? They lost everything, their money, their authority, their reputation, their arrogance. As I stood on my land, the wind passing through the trees, I finally understood my father's words. Land remembers. It remembered the fraud. It remembered the injustice. And it remembered the truth. Today, those 11 houses are being rented to families who need them, legally, ethically, and transparently. The land that the HOA tried to steal became the land that helped 11 families find homes. Justice delivered. Truth over power. Exactly what we stand for. No matter how big the HOA is. No matter how powerful they think they are. When you stand with truth, corruption always collapses. If you want more cinematic justice stories like this, subscribe. Malik SHB's channel stands proudly for truth over power.